Heatherwood Baptist Church in Newnan, Georgia, and I just want to show you what we've been up to the last few days. The first thing are these awesome telescape panels behind me here. The first day that I was here, me and one of the prime acoustic guys and a few people from the church put these up. So you can see it's just like very clean lines, fills the entire space. One of the biggest problems that we had here was in this room, all of the reflections were hitting this drywall right behind the mix position. So that was a big problem for being able to mix clearly, be able to hear accurately what's going on in the room. So that was the first thing that we tackled. Previously in this space right here, you can even see some of the glue still. There was a giant shelf and tons of storage, and all it did was collect junk. So I'm very grateful that Donald here is willing to throw away things that don't need to be held onto. And so he got this great Husky unit, which is holding everything that needs to be in the tech booth right now. So all of this is now space that can be just give people in the tech booth a little bit more breathing room. This desk also had quite a bit more. You can see on the before B-roll, but now it's very minimalist. We've got one MacBook Air that is for virtual sound check. So we're recording and playing back using PreSonus Studio One over Dante into the X32. We spent a lot of time just reorganizing the X32 and making the most of it that we could. We ran into a lot of channel count issues, so I think that a upgrade is in the future, but we wanted to make sure that we did the best that we could with it, and so we maxed this thing out. So we're able to do the virtual soundcheck over Dante, and we're able to also receive all of the tracks from stage on Dante. Down here, we've got our minimalist rack. Before there was a ton of equipment in different racks, and now instead of two giant racks, there's one, and there's only maybe 60 of stuff: power, ATEM, Constellation 1ME, Sonnet, Mac Mini with a DeckLink Duo, network switch. That's what's in there. Again, did a ton of work on the X32, maxing this thing out and optimize it for channels going into buses, buses going to the matrix. We were able to tune the room while I was here. So when I got here, these speakers, the subs there, these delays and the mains were EQ'd kind of funny. It was labeled delay, but there was no delay on these speakers, so everything was coming out. This was also a mono setup, and now it's a stereo setup. So and we were able to tune the room with an RTA mic and pink noise and get this to a much better place. On the console itself, I was able to take the main left-right feed and push it into matrices. So we've got our main left-right that I was able to EQ separately, our sub that I was able to EQ separately, and then our record out, which is going into the Constellation. So for computer graphics, I didn't do a whole lot of this. Matt was able to join me on this trip, and he was able to train this team and get this all configured the way that made the most sense while I was on this side of the booth working with the audio team. So it was really cool to have another person on this trip and be able to work together. So previously, there was a lot going on here. Now it's just the two screens for the Mac Mini, a Stream Deck, and this Boxcast Spark, which is a new product, and just having a little bit of time with it, I'm super happy with it. This is the HDMI version. We're going to be getting an SDI version. So right now we're just using a converter, but eventually this will be an SDI input. So we've got ProPresenter running here, and we were able to optimize the use of the stage display, and you'll see up there that we've got the numbers, or not the numbers, the letters, but you couldn't put numbers up there. But we're going full multi-tracks in ProPresenter integration here. So we've got a track rigs on stage that is running multi-tracks playback, and that is pushing over Dante to here. And this is also a new thing that we set up just yesterday, pushing out MIDI cues to trigger the lyrics from ProPresenter. And then this is our multi-view for the ATEM. So right now it's just a single camera, but we put the infrastructure in to go multiple cameras in the future. So we've got our one camera and our live stream output there, which is pushing into our Spark. Some people might walk into this tech booth and think it doesn't look like much, and that is the number one thing that I love about it. We are able to accomplish a great mix for in the room as well as to the record out. We're able to do multiple cameras in the future, utilize tools like Stream Deck, and everything is working smoothly at this point. So just the ability to make things simpler for volunteers was really on the heart of Donald and Kevin, the main people that we were working with at this church. On stage, we changed a few things as well, so let's check that out. We spent a good chunk of time thinking through what's going to make the most sense for the musicians. Again, running up against channel count, having 16 buttons, we really wanted to make sure that the musicians could hear everything that they needed to and mix everything that we needed to, so this is what we landed on. We rearranged the P16s as well a little bit, and one of the things, again, running up against channel count, we wanted to make sure that the musicians had everything that they needed to hear, so we made sure that this was set up in a way that made the most sense for this setup. Over by our drums here, previously in this rack was a additional mixer that was receiving analog inputs from tracks. And so what we did was put this DL16 in here and push tracks over Dante so that we're able to do all of the routing that we need to do in playback to get all of our outputs over Dante to the console, as well as pull in the analog inputs for the drum kit. I say analog, it is an electronic kit, but the outputs out of the brain behind the computer are coming into the DL16, as well as the MD drummer mic right here. With our video infrastructure, we pulled SDI cable to here, we pulled cable to there, and we pulled Ethernet from front of house to the amp rack in the back so that we could have a network switch back there, as well as a network switch back here, so that all of our Dante stuff is hardwired, switch here, switch there, and then a cable run from here to the amp rack so that we have that on that same network for Dante. One of the things that was taking up a lot of space at front of house were these mics right here. So we moved our wireless mics to this amp rack room and put our RF venue here and ran the cables out to there. You probably didn't see the actual antenna combiner earlier, so I'll run back out and show you that. But having this back here makes a lot of sense. The S32 is back here, so we were able to, in the back of the X32 at front of house, all those local inputs. Before they had an analog sync that was going to the stage, and then they had a bunch of inputs on the back that were cluttering up their mixing space, so we moved that to here. And again, our network switch for our Dante from here to the stage as well as here to front of house. These amps right here, I was able to network into and make adjustments on the delay, the timing of the delays versus the mains versus the subs, and get that all configured the way it needed to be. So we spent a good bit of time in here as we were running cable from place to place. In case you missed it, that is what we're using for our antenna. So the RF venue architectural antenna just blends really well into the wall. We just ordered the black one, and the color really fit well with the wall color here. We didn't have to paint it the exact same color. So I think naturally they come in white and black, but it just so happened this looks really good the way it came. The church already had a couple of SC Electronics V7s, so we ended up getting the same mic for the other vocalists, and these things for the price are a really great vocal mic. I think they're $100, the same price as an SM58. I've just been really happy with them whenever I've been able to sing on them or mix on them. Next up, we are going to be adding a lot of acoustic treatment up in this section here. So we're going to be hanging clouds down from the ceiling, and the same telescapes that we put behind front of house, that acoustic treatment is going to be covering the bottom part of this wall in black or gray to kind of match more of the back wall. So we're going to have a lot fewer reflections off of this space, and it's going to look really slick with it just going floor to ceiling and around the vents and things like that. So it'll just look like the wall, but it'll be acoustic treatment and really make a difference on the stage. You might even be able to hear it right now where I'm standing is probably the worst, getting reflections off of these spots as well as being at the center of that. So we're looking forward to coming back here soon and finishing up the acoustic treatment part of this project. We've had a great time working with Heatherwood Baptist Church these last few days. I'm excited to continue to work with them and their teams and be available to them remotely to be able to continue to make improvements and make sure that their team feels comfortable running all the technology so that their services can be distraction-free and done in excellence. And if you want the same kind of experience, make sure you go to churchfront.com/apply so that we can find out if it's a great fit for us to work together as well. Thanks for watching.